say check. I can check with David.
I have no idea why they're not working.
Test. Test.
Check, 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 check. Check, check, check. Check.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, mine went on too.
Not a single microphone.
Someone flipped the right switch.
Look at this. Look, you talking to it? Talk.
Check, 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 check. They're on? What was it?
It would
Check,
be
check,
funny if
check.
we knew- It would be more fun if we knew how we got them on.
Check, check, check. This one's not working. So your microphones are working up there?
Yes.
Hello, hello. How do I sound?
Very good.
Okay, let's turn this off until people are ready to speak. And any requests? Check, check. Check, check. How do you turn it off?
Everybody good? You all set? Everybody okay? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our board meeting. It's great being out and back in the Village Hall, and it's nice to see all of you out there. So we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance, so we can all rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag Megan, will you call the roll?
Yes, trustee Casera,
Here.
trustee Lautner,
Here.
Trustee Zora.
Here.
Trustee Seidel is absent. Trustee Council. Present. Trustee Sheehan. Here. President DeCipio.
Here.
A quorum is present, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan.
You can present right here if you'd like.
Okay, I'll present from right here then. Okay, so tonight's installation night, we will be installing three trustees and myself and our clerk. So there'll be three trustees installed tonight, plus myself and Megan, our clerk. So tonight, we say goodbye to one of our trustees who has been with us for 2 terms. He has done a phenomenal job with our village as a board member, as a trustee. Trustee Casera was chairman of the CRC, our Commercial Revitalization Committee. All the activity that we see out there today is a result of that committee at Jim's helm. Trustee Casera, it's been a privilege and an honor to work with you. You've brought some great thinking and vision into our board, and you can see by what we've done commercially with the businesses that we brought into the community as a result of that committee and your efforts. It's been just a joy to have you here. You've been positive. You've been certainly aggressive in your approach on what you'd like to see commercially in our community, and we're surely going to miss you. So I'd like to present you with a plaque. Why don't you come here, Jim, please. Trustee Casera.
Thank you, Mr. President.
With our greatest appreciation, Village of LaGrange Park presented to James Casera in recognition of your vision, your dedication, and commitment to service as a member of the LaGrange Park Board of Trustees, 2013 to 2021.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you,
It's
Jim.
been a pleasure, and everybody in this room, thank you for your leadership. And I said before, passion, vision, families working together, great village, businesses moving in, and families investing in town. It doesn't get better.
No, it doesn't. Thank you, Trustee
Thank
Casera.
Thank you.
Okay, next we will have the installation, so I will install our village clerk.
I have it.
No, they're from my desk. Don't leave home without it. Okay. Okay. You, Megan, Bree, have been duly appointed to the office of village clerk in the village of LaGrange Park in the state of Illinois. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of LaGrange Park village clerk to the best of your ability, and if you do say I do?
I do.
Congratulations.
Do you, Dr. James L. DeCipio, having been newly elected to the office of village president in the village of LaGrange Park in the state of Illinois, do solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of LaGrange Park village president to the best of your ability? If so, say I do.
I do.
Do you, Karen Council, having been duly elected to the office of village trustee in the village of LaGrange Park in the state of Illinois, do solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of LaGrange Park village trustee to the best of your ability? If so, say I do. Do you, Jamie Zora, having been duly elected to the office of village trustee in the village of LaGrange Park in the state of Illinois, do solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of LaGrange Park village trustee to the best of your ability? If so, say I do. I do. Do you, Jermaine Stewart, having been duly elected to the office of village trustee in the village of LaGrange Park in the state of Illinois, do solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the state of Illinois, and you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of LaGrange Park village trustee to the best of your ability? If so, say I do. I do.
So Trustee Zora, Trustee Council, welcome to the board. You've been on for many years, so it's not a new thing for you. But Trustee Stewart, that's awful nice to say. It's been 8 years since I approached you, and look at what goes on. So welcome. We're glad to have you. We're looking forward to working with you and bring all that you bring to our village.
Thank you.
Would you like to say something, Trustee Stewart?
No, just thank everybody for their ongoing support over these last few months. It's been an up and down road, but I've got a chance to know and be close to a lot of the trustees and officials of the village, and everybody's very nice and welcoming, and I really appreciate that. And let's get to work.
Before we get to work, how about if we introduce the most important people in our life?
Yes, my family's here, my wife Joanna, and my two children, Alexa and Nathan, and I also have my mom here as well to come support me on this special day. So thank you, I love you all. Yeah.
And welcome all of you. Thank you. Thank you for letting us have Trustee Stewart for the next 4 years.
Or more.
Okay, moving on. So next we have public participation. We're going to have public participation of agenda and non-agenda related items. If anyone cared to speak to the board, I'd ask you to step up to the mic, give us your name. You'll get 3 minutes tonight because we don't have a large group. At the end of the public comment, I have some correspondence from some residents that I will read. And I will let them know that this will be the last time that I will be reading comments since we're back to in-person meeting at the Village Hall. So if anyone out there ever would love to come in and address the board, we would like you to do it in person. And I'm reading letters tonight only because I had committed to doing that since the last meeting, but that's not our tradition here. So tonight will be the last time I will read comments from the residents. From here on forward, we hope that you would come in and state your comments to the board. Yes, if you sent in a comment and you're here tonight and you want to speak, then I won't read your comment. We'll just take your verbal testimony. So if anyone would care to address the board, please step up to the mic.
Sure.
Sounds good.
On or off with mask? Mask on or off?
If you're up there by yourself, you can take it off.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Mary O'Dowd. First of all, welcome and congratulations to our newly elected village president, clerk, and trustees. It's nice to actually meet you in person instead of on Zoom. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you tonight. I am the daughter and caregiver of Elizabeth Ann O'Dowd, 88 years of age, of 742 North Catherine Avenue. Elizabeth has been a resident of LaGrange Park for more than 50 years. The property is currently experiencing damage to its sewer line. Repairs to the section of sewer line located inside the property line are estimated at approximately $1,700. Repairs to the section of sewer line located outside the property line are estimated at approximately $17,000. That's a lot of money, especially for an 88-year-old widow with various medical issues and physical disabilities. So, I'm here to comment on village regulations relating to sewer operations, specifically as they relate to the responsibilities of the property owner versus the responsibilities of the village of LaGrange Park. I have 3 specific points to address. First point, according to the village's official website, quote, the property owner is responsible for their residence's sanitary system, including the point where the home or business connects to the village sewer main, end of quote. A diagram on the official village website illustrates this, noting that although the property line ends at the beginning of the sidewalk, the property owner's responsibility for the sewer line extends to the connection with the main, which is located near the middle of the street. My first question for the village is, why are property owners responsible for sections of the sewer line located outside their property line? This makes no sense. I feel that property owners should be responsible for sections of the sewer line located within their property lines, but feel that to hold property owners responsible for
30
issues-
seconds.
I'm sorry, I didn't know it was 3 minutes. Well, I heard it, but I didn't before I came tonight. All right, thank you. I feel that property owners should be responsible for issues occurring within their property lines, but feel that to hold property owners responsible for issues occurring outside their property lines is unreasonable and unjust. Indeed, the breakdown of responsibility relating to sewer lines varies from city to city. A plumbing technician from ABC stated that in the city of Chicago, for example, property owners are not responsible for issues occurring outside their property lines, as they are deemed to be the responsibility of the city. Second point, again, according to the official village website, quote, a primary culprit for sewer backups is root intrusion into the property's service line. If roots are suspected, residents should call a certified plumber to determine the blockage, end of quote. We called 2 certified plumbers who inspected the sewer line with cameras and determined that there was indeed significant root intrusion into the line. Some of the root intrusion was found inside the property line, while further root intrusion was found outside the property line between the sidewalk and the street. This photographic evidence is available upon request to members of the village board as well as to members of the press. The only nearby tree is a red maple planted outside the property line between the sidewalk and the street. My mom did not plant that tree. The tree was planted by the village of LaGrange Park. So my second question to the village board is, why is sewer damage from a tree planted by the village outside the property line the responsibility of the property owner? I feel that since the village planted the tree and it is located outside the owner's property line, the village should be responsible for any damage caused by its roots. Third and final point, professional inspection of the sewer line, again outside the property line, further revealed extensive damage near the point where the line from the home connects with the sewer main near the middle of the street. Again, this photographic evidence is available upon request to members of the village board as well as to members of the press. The damage at this location is directly below an area of the street which shows recent repair work done by the village. Was the repair work done here by the village a contributing factor to the damage to the individual sewer line? It is a question I also ask the village board to consider. In summary, The problem is not caused by anything within my mom's property lines. Rather, the village has done several things outside her property lines that definitely caused the damage, i.e. planting the tree, and may have caused damage, the road work. As such, I believe that my mom, a disabled 88-year-old widow who has been a resident of Grange Park for more than 50 years, is not responsible for the damage to the sewer line at 742 North Catherine Avenue. Rather, I believe that the village of Grange Park is responsible for this damage, and I ask that the village pay for all repairs and related expenses. While I welcome feedback at this time, I respectfully request that the village board respond to these comments in writing, providing detailed legal reasoning for each point. I look forward to your response and trust that this issue will be resolved in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. And I do see our Public Works Director and our Village Manager busily writing notes down, so they will get back to you. Thank you, Mary. Anyone else care to address the board? Please step up to the mic and give us your name.
Was there anybody else's hand? I didn't want to.
No.
Okay.
You're up next.
My name is John Chadwick, Chadwick, and these are my comments in lieu of the written comments that I submitted earlier this afternoon. Thank you. My comments are about Ann Bennett's April 2021 letter to Grange Park residents and the actions of Trustee Karen Council to that letter. Well, 2 weeks ago, I expressed my displeasure with the fact that the Grange Park Library awarded a contract to the architectural firm owned by village trustee Jamie Zora. My only comment about that at this time is that I wish Ms. Zora, whom I happily voted for last month, by the way, after researching her background, would have trusted us residents enough to just be upfront and forthcoming about her firm's work on the project with the library, in the hope that we collectively, as residents, would be okay with it, if not blindsided by it. But while Ms. Zora's actions in bidding on and accepting that contract may be ultimately acceptable, I believe that her fellow trustee Karen Council's actions in response to Ms. Bennett's letter are decidedly not. It's my understanding that Ms. Council's response was to immediately get on the telephone and harass the poor guy who owns the print shop where Ann had her letter printed. She demanded to know, quote, how it was done, unquote, as if the printer were somehow conspiring with Ann against Ms. Council or Ms. Zora or the board generally. And she made no attempt, apparently, to control her anger that he would dare to transact business with someone who was expressing a viewpoint contrary to Council's or the board's. Or as if the printer, who has printed materials for the Grange Park caucus, by the way, that Council recently chaired, were somehow beholden only to the caucus or to Ms. Council. But apparently, Ms. Council's behavior didn't end there. Instead, she contacted a reporter friend of hers and sent him a picture of the letter. And it doesn't seem to be any coincidence to me that this reporter, who publishes in an online news outlet called The Patch, as I think does Ms. Council herself, then embarked on a bit of a smear campaign to portray Ann in a bad light, despite her having done nothing other than what any concerned resident in this town could do and should do, express her concerns. Such behavior, I think, would be unacceptable if done by a member of a high school student council upon seeing an unflattering yearbook picture. It's eminently more unacceptable when done by a member of our village board. I believe her actions are actually a stain on this board and on my village. I already had serious qualms about her suitability for a trusteeship even before
30 seconds.
Even before the April 2021 election. And her behavior since has only confirmed my belief that she's unqualified to hold this position on our town, our little pomp and circumstance this evening notwithstanding. I believe you need to salvage, Ms. Council, a shred of dignity and restore this board's image by resigning from your position. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Would any other resident care to address the board? Okay, seeing none, I have 3 letters that I'll read that I received today. To my village board, I recently received a flyer regarding the renovations at our LaGrange Park Library. I have lived here since before the current building was built. We use a small space adjacent to the current Forest Road School. I strongly support local library services and facilities. However, what are we doing? I cannot support using an architectural design firm that is owned by a village board member who is on the village building and zoning committee. If that is not illegal, what about the ethical considerations of the village and the library? Plus, it sure looks bad to the citizen. If I have misunderstood the concerns presented concerning this project, I will be listening tonight at the meeting for an explanation. This project should be stopped. Ms. Zor should resign. Planning should restart with bidding by non-connected firms. LaGrange Park is not Chicago, and I really do expect more ethical behavior from my village and elected officials. And that was sent to me by Patricia Kushner. The next one I have was sent by Mary Dolan. As a long-term resident since July 1988, I feel very strongly that the awarding of the contract for the library project needs to be further reviewed. It would appear that there is a conflict of interest with trustee Jamie Zor, since she also has an interest in the company that was awarded the contract. This seems to be an ethical conflict that thought is reinforced by the village code. From my understanding, this matter has been addressed at several library and village meetings, but has not been properly resolved. Should this situation continue, it is setting a very bad precedent for every future contract in the village. Please take action. Sincerely, Mary Dolan. And the last one I have to read is from Ann Bennett. I would like to take a moment to address the ongoing concerns and comments about the library project as it relates to village trustees. First, with respect to the award of the library contract to trustee Zor's architectural design firm. As I acknowledge in my letter to every resident, the village and the library are two separate taxing bodies, but that is a distinction without a difference for us tax-paying residents of LaGrange Park. Moreover, the fact that something is legal does not make it morally and ethically right, especially regarding governmental instrumentalities and public trust. This does not mean you should, especially where public trust is concerned. There's a difference between malfeasance and misfeasance, i.e. just because you can legally do something does not mean you should, especially where public trust is concerned. I apologize, Ann. The mere perception of a conflict of interest can be as harmful to public confidence in a village's governance as an actual conflict. It is clear that the library's January 6, 2021 meeting minutes and April 3, 2021 podcast that Zor's position as a village trustee was an influential factor in the library's selection of her firm. If Ms. Zor, the library, and in turn the village felt that the award of the contract to Zor's company was perfectly legal and would not give an appearance of conflict of interest, self-dealing, and or cronyism, then why not be transparent and proactive about it? Why didn't the village proudly announce in the recent issue of the Rose Clippings mailer that our own village trustee, Jamie Vizor's firm, was awarded the contract for the architectural and design portion of the $4 million library renovation? Similarly, why didn't the March 1st, 2021 Chicago Tribune article state that 845 Design Group was owned by village trustee Zora? Said fact was conspicuously absent from that article despite interviewee Kate Buxton's knowledge of that connection. Likewise, why didn't Zora announce or even mention the recently awarded contract from the library on her business website? After all, her website proudly displays information about being a trustee from way back in March 2015 and highlights other projects that have been awarded to her firm. And why didn't the LaGrange Park Caucus mention this contractual award when discussing Ms. Zor in its March 2021 political mailer to all the residents during the run-up to the April 6, 2021 consolidated general election? The answer to these questions is obvious to me and to other residents. The library and Zora, and in turn the village, knew that the optics of this situation were bad and would pose a political and public relations problem. We residents give our trust to our elected and appointed officials to place the residents' interests above their own self-interests. However, along with that trust comes a reasonable expectation that our officials will, at the very least, take the necessary steps to fully disclose to the residents ahead of time anything that would appear to be a conflict of interest and mitigate that appearance. That this was not done in this situation is disappointing. Second, with respect to the actions of trustee Karen Council in response to my letter. While the reasonable members of this board presumably each had his or her private reaction to my letter, Ms. Council's reaction was anything but. Instead, Ms. Council hunted down the innocent owner of the print shop where I had the letter printed to find out how it was done. She also sent a copy of my letter to the online media outlet, The Patch, which she is a contributor to, and seemingly induced her reporter acquaintance to write an unfavorable article that went beyond reporting the event in an attempt to paint me as a dubious lawyer when all I did was to write a letter as a concerned resident. Karen Council's actions are a direct act of intimidation and retaliation against a third-party business owner for printing my letter and against me for exercising my First Amendment right to write and mail my letter to every resident in the village, expressing concerns, a matter of public concern affecting all residents. Perhaps Council and the other trustees understand that under Title 42 of the United States Code, a municipal official and a municipal entity can both be liable in their corporate and individual capacities where an official acting under color of law deprives a person of a right, privilege, or immunity secured by the Constitution or a federal law. These constitutionally guaranteed rights include, but are not limited to, the First Amendment right of a private citizen to raise concerns about the governance and actions of her local government. In this case, both the business owner and I understood that Karen Council was operating in her official capacity as a trustee when she engaged in this retaliatory and intimidating behavior. What is equally troubling is that since April 21st, 2021, many residents have contacted me privately by mail, telephone, email, and text messaging about their experiences with the village and its trustees. These residents have expressed that they believe the village engaged in retaliatory conduct towards them for raising concerns about what was going on in the village. As some pointed out, there are blogs written by trustees and or their spouses, the contents of which have variously included, among other things, criticizing residents for one reason or another based on political viewpoints, bragging about beating a traffic ticket, and promoting hateful positions. One such blog is written by Council's husband. Several residents also stated that Council has raised her voice over residents' comments during village board meetings, another example of her improperly intimidating behavior. One can disagree with residents without intimidating someone and engaging in uncivilized behavior. Several residents referred to Council as the heavy in the village because up until September 2020, she chaired the insular and secretive caucus that rubber stamps candidates it wants for elected positions, and these residents conclude that she holds a lot of influence in the village and is untouchable. That my neighbors have reported all the above have been made to feel this way is very concerning to me. It also solidifies my belief that Ms. Council should have never been appointed to a trustee position or selected as a candidate for trustee to begin with, especially after her hateful social media repost from the far right-wing hate group Libtard Nation and her promotion of the discredited movie entitled 2016 Obama's America, a movie by conspiracy theorist and convicted felon Dinesh D'Souza that claims, among other things, President Obama was only elected because he was black. I and other residents raised our concern about Karen Council's behavior, unfitness to be a nonpartisan board trustee with the Grange Park Caucus before the April 2021 election. Regardless, based on her actions last month, Ms. Council needs to resign immediately. Her actions are egregious and reprehensible. She is unfit to hold a leadership position in our village. And that's the last I have of any public comments. Okay, so moving on, we'll move on to Public Safety Committee. Trustee Zora, would you please give that report?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. I have one item for discussion and action. The fiscal year 2021-22 budget includes finances allocated for the purchase of a new 2021 patrol vehicle. With the addition of this vehicle to the fleet, a 2009 Ford Escape with over 185,000 miles will be phased out. In planning for and pursuing replacement, Police Department staff evaluated current needs and investigated which vehicles were available for purchase through state and joint purchasing programs. Staff has determined that our best option is to purchase a 2021 Ford Interceptor utility, all-wheel drive available through the Suburban Purchasing Cooperative, which the police department has utilized in the past to purchase some vehicles. Currently, Ford is still accepting orders at last year's pricing. The vehicle will be all-wheel drive, which will better accommodate energy emergency responses in climate weather. The purchase of this vehicle will also replicate the purchase of the 2021 Ford Utility Police Interceptor purchased that last fiscal year. There will be some ancillary costs associated with the purchase of the Ford Interceptor utility, such as installation of radios, emergency lighting, lettering, which brings the total price to approximately $45,000. The village has budgeted $45,000 in the capital project fund. At this time, staff plans to sell the unit we are taking out of service. Recommendation: after evaluation and consideration, staff recommends entering into an agreement with the Curry Motors fleet of Frankfort, Illinois, for the purchase of a 2021 Ford Interceptor utility in the amount of $33,086 and not to exceed $45,000 to cover equipment and upfitting costs. I would like to make a motion to authorize staff to purchase a new 2021 Ford Interceptor utility police patrol package for a cost of $33,086 from Curry Motors fleet in Frankfort, Illinois, through the Suburban Purchasing Cooperative Contract 152, with a not to exceed amount of $45,000 to cover the equipment and upfitting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Trustee Zora?
Thank you. I feel like this is just the times changing. Vehicles are getting older. We need to replace them. They're utilized every day, and police need to be safe and have vehicles that are reliable in the municipality. So I see no reason not to approve this.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. Trustee Stewart?
Yes, I'll second, trustee Zora's motion on this as well. This is a very old vehicle, 185,000 miles. So it makes sense to try to get a new vehicle that's safe and reliable.
Thank you, Trustee Stewart. Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. I concur. It's part of the replacement program. It's actually a little bit more miles than we typically try to get rid of them. So I appreciate the effort that's gone in and extending it. The other thing is that I think it's good that we are going to be able to have that pricing stabilized, because current pricing, as most of us probably know, with the chip shortage, prices are going up and certainly not coming down at all. So I think it's a good time to proceed with this.
Thank you, Trustee Lautner. Trustee Sheehan?
Thank you, Mr. President. I concur with the fellow board members. The Escape has served us well for almost 12 years. The fleet needs to be able to go on a moment's notice 24/7, so I fully support this, sir.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Trustee Council?
Full support, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Council. Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner,
Yes.
Trustee Zora,
Yes.
Trustee Council,
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan,
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you,
you.
Trustee Zora, for giving that report.
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to Finance Committee. Trustee Lautner?
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, have the topic of extending the software annual maintenance and support agreement for our enterprise resource planning software. The purpose of this is to approve payment to BSNA, the company that manufactured the software, for annual maintenance and support of the village's ERP software system, which is proving out to be very helpful and very effective, as we witnessed in the last budgeting process. Background on this is the village currently utilizes BSNA software for its ERP software system. The purchase agreement approved by the village board in August of 2019 included an annual maintenance and support component, which covers all required software updates and unlimited customer assistance for all applications. The first support payment of $21,475 is due on May 31st and is included in our current budget. As the annual amount is above the village manager's purchasing authority, it requires village board approval. Staff certainly recommends that the board approve payment of BSNA software maintenance at the May 11th, this evening's work session. So I'd like to submit a motion to approve payment of BSNA software for, let me rephrase that. I'd like to submit a motion to approve payment to BSNA software for annual maintenance and support in the amount of $21,475.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second discussion, trustee Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Straightforward, this was part of the agreement up front to maintain this, and the fact that we were able to negotiate unlimited customer support was a very positive aspect of that agreement. Our documentation also included the invoice for the board's review this evening, so I would fully support it.
Thank you, trustee Wagner. Trustee Sheehan?
I echo trustee Wagner. I support this.
Thank you, trustee Sheehan. Trustee Council?
I support this, Mr. President.
Thank you, trustee Council. Trustee Stewart?
I support this upgrade as well.
Thank you, trustee Stewart. Trustee Zora?
I support this.
Thank you, trustee Zora. Megan, call the roll, please.
Trustee Lautner,
Yes?
Trustee Zora, Trustee Council,
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan,
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. And thank you, trustee Wagner. You were done, correct? Yeah. Okay, moving on to other reports, our village manager, Julia.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have nothing to report this evening.
Okay, I have a couple of items. Let me get our village clerk first. Megan, any?
I have no report this
Okay,
evening.
thank you, Megan. I have an action item. I think. Thank you. So tonight I will bring forward appointments for various committees. Listed below are the recommendations for appointment and reappointments to various village committee and commissions. I'm going to give you the three new appointees. Thank you, Kathy. To the Planning and Zoning Commission, Jim Lee and Robert Bartholomew reappointed to the commission for a 5-year term expiring in 2026. Drew McElligott appointed new to fill a vacancy with a term expiring in 2026. To the Board of Police Commissioners, Tim Alvarez is reappointed to a 3-year term expiring in 2024. Police Pension Fund Board, Christopher O'Hay reappointed to a 2-year term expiring in 2023. And the Sustainability Commission, Laura McAllister appointed new to fill a vacancy with a term expiring in 2022. So I'll entertain a motion from a trustee to approve the recent appointments.
Make a
So-
motion.
We have a motion and a second. Megan, call the roll. I'm sorry, Megan, any comments from the board? Trustee Lautner?
My only comments on looking at some of these individuals that, some new and some continuation, that they've contributed significantly, and I fully support them.
Thank you, trustee Lautner. Trustee Zora?
I know several of these members, and I do appreciate all of their volunteer time. I know how much time all these committees take, and we thank them.
Thank you, trustee Zora. Trustee Stewart?
I support the addition of these new individuals as well. Thank you.
Thank you, trustee Stewart. Trustee Council?
As trustee Zora stated, I know several of these people on these commissions as well, and I have full faith that they are doing a great job. So I'm in approval.
Thank you, trustee Council. And trustee Sheehan?
I support and appreciate each person coming forward, and I fully support that. And thank you for their service to the town.
Thank you, trustee Sheehan. Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Lautner,
Yes.
Trustee Zora,
Yes.
Trustee Council,
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan,
Yes.
Trustee Stewart.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Thank you, Megan. Okay, so I have one other statement that I'd like to address. It's been a tumultuous couple weeks, couple months here. Anything that happens outside of this boardroom is a reflection on our village. It is a reflection on every one of us up here and every one of the staff members out there. We're elected here by the residents. We're placed up here by the residents. So when we go out and we do our work for the residents, we're expected to act in a dignified, ethical way. Over the past month or so, I've received allegations from members of the public about individual trustees' comments or conduct. As I begin my 5th term and 17th year as village president, I would like to reflect a bit on our collective and individual duties and responsibilities as members of this village board. We, as elected trustees and president and clerk, have the power to attend public meetings and vote. Our conduct is subject to all legal requirements of the Illinois Open Meetings Act, which is a very detailed statute whose goal is sunshine, to have all public business conducted in open and public meetings, except in very limited situations. That law greatly restricts individual trustees from communicating with each other about public business outside of public meetings. All trustees' communications are also subject to the Freedom of Information Act, which mandates disclosure of trustees' communications upon request by any member of the public. Trustees do not have the power to direct the day-to-day affairs of the village and to supervise the various department heads and employees of the village. We have hired a village manager, Julia Cedillo, to do that, and what a great job she's doing. If any individual trustee disagrees with something a staff member or the village attorney is doing, he or she should come to the village manager or myself to raise his or her concern. Elected officials must also refrain from taking any action that reflects poorly on our village. We must be careful in our communication with residents and the general public. Our constituents have the right to question and even criticize our decisions and actions, but we must always remain respectful of their concerns and keep our communications professional and non-threatening. The village board is authorized to establish its own rules of proceeding and may punish its members for violations of the standards it very well sets. While we have always had a board handbook, current events have led me to conclude that we need to adopt a more detailed code of conduct, containing standards and expectations for each elected official before and during, both during village meetings and in our daily interactions with members of our public. The code of conduct will also contain specific sanctions that we as a village board can impose against any person who violates our code of conduct. It is my hope that the discussion and adoption of this code of conduct will strengthen us as a board and improve our relationships with members of our community. We have to remember that we as a board and elected officials work for our residents. We work for the village of LaGrange Park. Our actions will be judged on what we say, but we'll be judged on our actions too. And any action that brings disharmony to this board or to this village is something that's not going to be acceptable. We've worked very hard over the 15, 16, 17 years I've been up here. The staff and the boards that have followed have worked very hard to make this village what it is today. We don't have cronyism. We don't have any of that here. And if anybody sees it or anybody says we do, please come up to me and tell me or call me, because I'd be interested to hear where you think we have that. We have great people up here. You know, some of the comments that have been expressed to me, certainly we have a right to speak. We have a freedom of choice, freedom of speech. All of us do. But that doesn't mean I can agree with everything that everybody says, because there are some things that people are saying out there that just in fact are not true. For 16, 17 years I've been up here, this is the first time I've heard that residents have been extremely unhappy and afraid to come and approach this board. I find that really disheartening, and I find it surprising. Because at the end of every letter I write in the Rose Clippings, it states, contact me if you have any concerns or if you'd like to talk about our village. Julia has an open door policy. Our village manager will respond to you in a heartbeat, quickly. If you call her, you text her, you email her, you will get a response back from Julia. We do everything in our power up here to communicate to our residents what we're doing and what's happening in our village through e-briefs, the Rose Clippings, we send out, like we did today, we sent out a e-brief real quick to make sure people knew that today we were not doing Zoom, we were in person. We try to communicate with our residents the best we can. And for 17 years, I haven't heard a word. I mean, there's a couple things that go wrong. I mean, we're not perfect, but never to this extent. I find some of the comments that I've read tonight and some of the comments that I've read over the last month frustrating, because I know some of it's not true, but it's being said out there about us and about our village. Now, maybe it's been brought upon us in the recent months because of the attention we've received, and that's okay, that's fair. But please don't tell me that people have been dissatisfied for the last 15, 16, 17, 18 years with what we're doing here, because this is the first time I'm hearing about it. I get phone calls once in a while, not often. But I get a lot of accolades on what the staff is doing here and what the board is doing here. And again, we're not perfect. We make mistakes. I'm the first to admit I make mistakes all the time. But we're the kind of people up here and in this room that learn from those mistakes and don't want them to happen again. There isn't a soul up here that doesn't care deeply for this village. And when I hear words corruption and cronyism and things that I've never heard spoken about our village, it's unacceptable, guys. Show me. Show me and tell me, and then I will believe it. But don't say things against us that aren't true. And don't pull out articles from 2010 or 2007 and tell me that that's what's happening today, because that's not what's happening today. We had problems a long time ago, probably 15 years ago we had some issues. We made it through those. And I think our ship has been sailing pretty darn nicely for the last 15 years. We've come upon a hiccup, maybe more than a hiccup here. But we'll make it. We'll make it through this. Trustee Zora is a quality person. You know, we've come to the conclusion that she did nothing illegal, guys, nothing. You can argue and vacillate back and forth about perception, and I'll give you that, okay? But we're human up here too, and Trustee Zora loves this village and has done everything in her power to make her family and everything here okay, and she has. Trustee Council, she's got a big heart. You know, she cares about this community and she cares about every individual. Now, myself included, I love everybody here, and this is a great village. And people say, well, you're looking at pie in the sky. It's not that way. It is that way. And again, I beg anybody out there that has shown me these letters and told me some of the things in here, come here and call me. I live on 800 Newberry. Come visit me. I'll meet you here. I'll meet you there. I'll meet you anywhere. If some of this stuff you're seeing is true in here, please, I'll listen, and I'll fix it. But don't say things if you can't back them up, okay? Because it's not fair to us. We're trying to do the best we can up here. We'll make it through. We'll fix the problems here, starting with the board conduct policy and going through a retreat. We've gotten Brad Cole from the Illinois Municipal League, who's the executive director there, is going to come and put on a program for this board on ethics, which we need. We need to hear this stuff. Now, I said these things, and I'm not casting any doubt on any of the board members up here, but they're listening to what I have to say because we're all in this together. So please, we're doing the best we can. We have a great village. We have a great staff. We have great department, has a police department, fire department. I beg anybody to come please visit me and tell me what's wrong. And I will make sure that I sit down with Julia and Kathy and we'll fix it. Okay? Enough said with that. Thank you, Rob. Any new business? Anybody have any new business on the board? Welcome, Trustee Stewart. It's a privilege to have you up here, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's nice.
Okay, anybody have anything to add? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn. So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Megan, call the roll.
Trustee Leonard?
Yes?
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Trustee Council?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Stewart?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously, Mr. President.
Meeting adjourned. Everyone have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.